Today we're talking all about how to milk dairy goats. Hey there friends, it's Sarah from the Nest in the West, and today we're talking again about how to milk goats. Now I recently did put out a video all about how I milk my goats, and I take you through sort of my morning routine and go into detail about the kind of grain that I feed them, what kind of milk stands I'm using, how I wash udders and filter milk, and all of that good stuff. But today I want to focus a little bit more on the technique of milking and get some really good footage of up close and personal milking, how to hold your hand, how to milk different kinds of goats based on the size and shape of their teats and their udders. So today I'm out here in the barn. We are milking 5 goats and they each have slightly different shapes and styles of udders and teats. And so I'm going to take you along and kind of talk you through how I milk. If we haven't met before, hi, I'm Sarah. I live on a 2-acre homestead in the far west valley of Phoenix, Arizona with my family. I'm a homeschool mom to 4, a small scale flower farmer, and I raise mini Nubian dairy goats and teach homesteaders the art of making beautiful goat milk cheese, as well as holistic dairy goat care online and in my membership. And I spent the last 2 years working on a book all about raising dairy goats naturally. It's forwarded by Joel Salatin and takes you through all the basics of getting started with goats, taking you through kidding and milking, as well as raising offspring for meat and making your own goat milk products too. You can find the link for where to pre-order the book in the description. Okay, so I'm here with Dandelion and we're going to be milking her this morning. Now, Dandelion has a really great udder. It's a very easy to milk udder. I keep mini Nubian goats, but mini Nubians, because they're a cross between 2 other breeds of goats, Nigerian dwarf and Nubian, they can have quite a lot of variety in the shape and style of their udder and their teats. So Dandelion has more of what I'm going for, which is a really nice size, very easy to milk teat. They're rather forward facing and she's got a nice hefty udder here. And so we're just gonna squirt out the first few squirts of milk here. And I'm gonna get a nice zoom in and show you how I milk her. Okay, so if you've got a goat with a nice handle on her, you are going to want to trap and squeeze the milk directly into the teat. If I just squirt her teat, there will be a little bit of milk coming out, but not a whole lot. The milk is mostly right up here inside of her udder. And so what I'm going to do is make C shape with my hand. I'm going to trap the milk into her teat with my thumb and forefinger, sometimes 2 fingers. So now this is full. This has got milk in it, but the milk was up here. So I got to trap it in here and I'm going to squeeze it out with my other fingers. And soon that motion kind of becomes fluid and you almost can't tell that's what I'm doing. And you're going to do that on both sides. Now you may find, like me, that actually your non-dominant hand is a stronger milking hand. My left hand is actually stronger than my right. I couldn't tell you why. And so I personally like to alternate on each side like this. Some people like to do them both together. You could do that too. You could just focus on one at a time. If you're dealing with a goat that kicks a lot, you may want to milk just one side at a time and milk directly into a mason jar, holding the jar and just milking with one teat at a time into the jar, just so that there's less of a likelihood of her putting her foot in the bucket. You can see her teats are looking more saggy. There's not a whole lot in there. I could probably get another squeeze now because I've bumped her udder a little bit. You can bump their udders just like their kids do to bring more milk down. She's still got kids on her, which is why she's holding back a little bit of her milk. You can see her udder looks pretty empty. She's got a little bit left there that she's going to want to feed her babies when I let them out for the day. But that is a milked out goat right there. All right, so we're going to move right along now to Rosie. Rosie is one of my goats that has a smaller udder with smaller teats. She actually has great capacity. She's an easy to milk goat, not my easiest, but she's still a great dairy girl. But her teats are probably the closest that I have to something like a Nigerian dwarf. I don't raise Nigerian dwarf goats, but that's a whole nother style of udder. And even within the breed, there's a wide variety of lengths and sizes of the teats and udder that are going to really determine your method of milking. I know some friends who have Nigerian dwarves, they're sitting there just like this, milking those tiny, tiny teats. I don't have a goat like that, so I can't really give you a good demonstration. But Rosie is my goat with the shortest teats, and it does change a little bit the method in which I milk her. So I'm going to show you that now. Okay, so we've got Rosie here. This is her nice full udder. And so she's got these shorter teats. But what you want to see in a goat is that they have nice, soft dairy skin that's very stretchy and easy to manipulate so that it's easy to get a handle on them and milk, even if they don't have a super long teat to grab. So really just a couple of fingers fit around these teats, but that's okay. So for her, the milk is definitely all trapped up here, and we need to trap it into the teats instead. Now, when she's really full, so she hasn't been separated from her kids too long overnight. My husband didn't get out there till a little bit later in the evening. Her udder is not super full, but when it is, often I have to strip milk a little bit. And strip milking looks like this, where you're really just using your thumb and your forefinger just to get out of a very taut, very tight teat, just enough milk out until things start to soften up a little bit and you can really get a better handle up here. But she's not super tight today. So I'm gonna just squirt out the first few squirts of milk. And you can see she's kind of crouching down a little bit. That's great. That is showing that she is ready to be milked. She's being a good dairy goat right there. That's what dairy goats do for their kids. They sort of crouch down for them. So I'm gonna zoom in here so you can see a little better how I'm doing this. So she's got her teat up here, and I'm going to wrap my fingers around, trap the milk from up here, and squeeze it out. And so with this hand, that's what it looks like. My hands are way up high on her udder, trapping and squeezing. And you'll find if you're milking a goat with really tiny teats, you might need to do this. It's not great for carpal tunnel, I will say. If you're gonna get a smaller breed of goat, try and get one whose breeder really emphasizes breeding for goats that have really nice milkable udders and teats so that you can hand milk if that's what you want to do. So you can see as she starts to empty out, I can get my hand even up higher and really bring that milk down. Rosie's got really great orifices. That is a nice thick stream of milk coming into the pail. Very different from the next goat that we're about to milk. Rosie's pretty even on both sides. She's got a nice even udder. She had triplets this year, but they managed to keep her very evenly milked out. But sometimes you'll have a goat where the babies have favored one side, and so maybe she keeps more milk on one side of her udder. Or maybe just genetically, she's got a bit of a lopsided udder. And so in that case, you probably won't finish both sides at the same time, and so you'll need to spend a little more time on the other part of her udder, the fuller half. This is Rosie's 5th lactation, and she has just gotten better and better every year. It is so gratifying to see a goat really come into their own and just be such a great mama, such a great producer, such a good girl on the stand. She is a really reliable girl. All right, so there we go. Her udder is nice and empty and milked out now. It's very soft. Probably bump it and get a little bit more milk. But otherwise, those teats are pretty empty. And so we're good for the day. All right, the milk pail's getting a little bit full here, so I'm going to empty this out into my jars before moving on to the next goat. If you want more details about how and why I do this in the barn, you can check out my other milking routine video. All right, so moving right along, we're going to milk Ella here. Okay, so Ella has these really long handles. You can get a whole fist around them. It's really easy to milk her in that regard. And so I'm just gonna squirt out those first few squirts. Ella gets a hobble because she does so much better if she has a hobble. And so for her, there's not a whole lot of like trapping the milk up here and squeezing it down. If you squeeze her teat, you're gonna get milk. So she has more of that Nubian style udder, which I love. But you can see we're just getting a real thin stream of milk there, just because she doesn't have the very best orifices. So same sort of technique though, we're just kind of making this rolling motion. It's not as easy to see when I'm going fast, but this is essentially what I'm doing, squeezing with these and then the rest of my fingers. You'll find with milking that it looks a lot easier than it is when you actually give it a try. But once you get the knack, once you really get the hang of it, it's not hard at all to catch on, and you'll be going really quickly, really soon. Now, because her orifices in her teat are on the smaller side, just tires out your wrists and your hands a lot more quickly. So I find myself taking breaks to kind of shake out a little bit every so often when I'm milking Ella, or I'll just kind of give one hand a break and milk with the other. And I don't know, maybe she's not a fan of me filming today, but she just kicked the bucket, even with her hobble on. Come on, Ella. She really is a sweet goat. She just gets spicy sometimes, huh, girl? All right, so Agnes has these massive teats here, which are really nice and easy to milk for sure. Same sort of motion, trap and squeeze. I do like milking girls with these nice big teats. I find them the very easiest to milk for sure. Now Agnes has a bit of an uneven udder, and so we're definitely gonna get a lot more from this side than we will from this side. Part of that's genetic, part of it is just kid preference. All right, last but not least is Ginny. Ginny is my OG girl. She's 12. This is her last lactation. She's such a good girl. She's just the best. And she's not producing a whole lot this year because she's an old lady, and that's totally fine. But back in her heyday, she gave a gallon a day easy. Anyway, I'm gonna show you how to milk her udder and then we'll sign off. All right, so Ginny is pretty similar to Rosie here. She's got that nice wide udder, shorter teats, but really soft dairy skin. Very easy to get your hands around and milk. So you definitely need to do that C-shaped motion, grabbing way up here to bring that milk down into her teats. I always find it so funny when we have friends over or like a little field trip for homeschool friends, and I let people try their hand at milking. And everyone's first response is, oh, that looked a lot easier. And I think it's just people have this idea that you just grab and squeeze and milk comes out. But there really is a lot more technique to it than that. All has to do with the way you hold your hands and trap and squeeze. I'm sure he would have had an extra half gallon had Ella not knocked it over, but c'est la vie. All right, so we finished the milking. I am just going to give a jar of some whey to the chickens and the pigs. I made a Gouda cheese yesterday, and so now we've got whey to feed the animals. We'll let the kids out and reunite them with their mamas for the day. Let everyone back out so that they have access to pasture. And my milk's already chilled, so I'm just gonna pop it in the fridge and head back inside. I find that most milking tutorial videos tend to focus on sort of all the extraneous things, like what you're feeding, how you're cleaning, how you're filtering the milk, and those are super important and really helpful. But if you're just starting out and you want to really learn learn the technique and really kind of grasp your mind around how you actually get the milk from the udder into the bucket. I hope that this video more on the technique of milking was helpful to you. If you found this video helpful, do me a favor and like it and subscribe. I put out videos every single week about holistic dairy goat care, cheese making, and more. And if you want to dive even deeper, check out my membership, the Dairy Goat Collective. Inside, you'll find an ever-growing library of courses and tutorials, a vibrant community feed, weekly private podcast episode, monthly live Zoom chats, and so much more. Thanks so much for watching. I'm cheering you on in your goat journey, and I'll see you in the next video.